Catherine, a 28-year-old woman, expertly juggled the demands of her office job and her role as a housewife. Her husband, Randy, was the same age, but his adoration for his mother created tension. Catherine's mother-in-law, Kelly, seemed to find endless amusement in making Catherine's life miserable. Despite the turbulent waters of their marriage, they had recently celebrated their second anniversary. Catherine took pride in her resilience. Work had become a sanctuary, where she excelled. Her dedication earned her a string of promotions, a rarity for women in her field. Catherine was on a business trip, traversing Europe for a series of crucial meetings. Amid one particularly important meeting, her phone, set to silent, began to vibrate insistently. 2 missed calls flashed on the screen, both from Kelly. A knot of worry tightened in Catherine's chest. What in the world is going on? I hope nothing bad has happened. The urgency of the calls compelled her to excuse herself from the meeting. As she stepped aside to return the call, Kelly called again. "Hello, Catherine. Where are you right now?" Kelly's voice crackled through the phone, laced with irritation. Catherine muttered under her breath, "Maybe I shouldn't have picked up this call." She tapped the call button, forcing a pleasant tone into her voice. "Hello, Kelly. How are you doing today? Is there something urgent?" "I just asked where you are, Catherine," Kelly snapped. Catherine, though used to her mother-in-law's arrogance, felt her annoyance rise. She was in the middle of a critical meeting and didn't want to prolong the conversation. "Sorry, didn't Randy tell you I'm on a business trip? Can I call you back as soon as I finish?" "Of course, Randy told me. What are you doing leaving your house and husband alone? Come back home immediately." Kelly's demand was as sudden as it was unreasonable. "I'm sorry, Kelly, but I'm in the middle of an important meeting." Catherine tried again. "I can't just—" Kelly cut her off, her voice dripping with disdain. "You're so bossy, even though you're just Randy's wife. I don't care for your reasoning, just come back home this instant. Today is a very important day. Do you understand me?" Kelly's frustration was palpable. Catherine's mind raced. Today is an important day. Kelly was being deliberately evasive, refusing to explain the reason for her frantic summons. "Why? Why is today so important?" Catherine pressed. Kelly's voice took on a smug tone. "We're going to celebrate my 60th birthday today." Catherine was taken aback. Kelly's birthday wasn't supposed to be until the end of the month. They had planned a surprise celebration at a nice restaurant, a plan that had been agreed upon by both Randy and Kelly. The audacity of it all, to demand Catherine return on a weekday, in the middle of her business trip, for a birthday that wasn't even supposed to be for weeks, was staggering. Kelly's bullying tactics were becoming increasingly unbearable. "As I said before, I'm on a business trip right now, so I can't come home," Catherine stated firmly. "Oh, how funny," Kelly scoffed. "Because I called Randy earlier today, and he said he would take the day off from work for me. All of the relatives will be there. Only you, Catherine. Work, work, work. You're so cold. What do you think of your own husband's parents?" Catherine knew if she let Kelly continue, the tirade of sarcastic insults would never end. Still trapped in the meeting, Catherine couldn't afford to stay on the phone. "I'm sorry, but I can't go to your 60th birthday celebration, no matter what you say," she informed Kelly. Kelly's sarcasm evaporated. She took a deep breath, her voice laced with icy finality. "Well then, I won't recognize you as family at all. You don't have to come back home at all. It's a divorce. Randy was too good for you to begin with." Without a pause for breath, Kelly unleashed a torrent of hurtful words. Catherine was furious, her heart pounding with anger and hurt. But she refused to give Kelly the satisfaction of a rebuttal. "Oh yes, okay. I'll talk to you when I get home. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I have to leave." Catherine's voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "What's with that attitude? I told you not to come back. I'll talk to Randy myself." With that final barb, Kelly hung up. Exhausted from the encounter, Catherine returned to the meeting with a heavy sigh. 2 days and several more meetings later, Catherine finally made her way home. The anger and frustration she felt towards her mother-in-law filled her thoughts, blotting out the memories of her travels. As she opened the front door, she called out, "I'm home!" A weary voice answered, "Welcome back." She slipped off her heels, leaving her luggage by the door, and walked into the living room. There, amidst a mountain of cardboard boxes, stood Randy, sweat beading on his forehead as he frantically sealed the boxes with duct tape. "What's with all the boxes?" she asked, her voice laced with confusion. Randy looked up, his expression defeated. "They're all your belongings." Catherine's heart sank. Randy explained that Kelly had indeed held her 60th birthday celebration, without Catherine. She had regaled everyone with tales of Catherine's neglect and arrogance, painting herself as the victim. To top it off, she had announced her intention to force a divorce and send Catherine back to her parents' house, deeming her unworthy of her son. Catherine wasn't surprised. This was classic Kelly. "And then what happened?" she asked, bracing herself. "So your mother told you to get a divorce, and you agreed to it?" Randy's shoulders slumped further. "No, I didn't exactly agree to it, but she told me to pack up your stuff, and I didn't have any other choice but to do so. What can I do about it?" His voice trailed off into a defeated mumble. "What does that mean, you didn't argue with your mother? Does that mean you're okay with the idea of getting a divorce?" Randy explained that his father, Peter, had also advised him to comply with Kelly's wishes. "If Kelly gets in a bad mood, I'll have a hard time, so you better listen to what she has to say." So, he had readily accepted the divorce. Catherine was stunned. What in the world is he doing, accepting the divorce so easily? What is it with Randy's family? A father who is controlled by his wife and a son who adores and obeys his mother. No one seems to want to take my side. As Catherine stood there, speechless and dumbfounded, Randy pleaded with her, his eyes filled with a desperate plea. "What my mother says is absolute. It's just until her mood is back to normal and things cool down. Yes, it's just a sham. This divorce is a sham. I'll come for you when things cool down." Catherine wished he would use those pleading eyes on his mother. How is it that a big man like Randy is so seriously afraid of his mother? Oh my gosh, there is no way to save you. She almost felt a wave of self-loathing, wondering what she had seen in this man to make her marry him. But then, a thought struck her. Wait a minute, maybe this is a good chance for me to think about it. Even if she stayed with Randy, Kelly would continue to torment her, always holding the threat of divorce over her head. Maybe I was very lucky to get a divorce from Randy without much trouble. And I have enough income to support myself. Even if I have to live alone, I won't be lacking in anything. In an instant, it was as if a fog had lifted from her mind. She looked at Randy, her voice firm and resolute. "Fine then. Yes, let's get a divorce." As soon as she said the words, she called Kelly. "Hello?" Kelly answered after 3 rings. "As you wish, we are getting a divorce," Catherine stated calmly. Kelly's voice was triumphant, practically bouncing with glee. "Yes, please go away. Get out of Randy's house. You finally figured out that you're not good enough for Randy, didn't you? I am so relieved. Don't worry. I'll find Randy an obedient, pretty, and parent-friendly wife this time. I'm sure Randy will be in great demand." "That's right. I'll take care of my son until he finds his next wife. So don't worry about that either." After exhausting her repertoire of sarcastic remarks, as if for the last time, Catherine spoke. "Well, don't misunderstand me, Mother," she said casually. Kelly, still riding the wave of her good mood, replied, "Well, aren't you a sore loser? Well, don't mind me. Oh yes, by the way, Catherine, I got the divorce papers from the city office and gave them to Randy. So don't forget to sign them." And without a word of farewell, she hung up. Randy, who had been listening to the conversation with a mixture of apprehension and relief, looked at Catherine. "Is Randy stupid? By the way, honey, does your mother know that you are a full-time house husband?" Catherine asked, her voice laced with disbelief. "How can I tell her that?" Randy retorted, his voice taking on a defensive tone. "My mother lives for the fact that I'm a member of the elite and work for a major company." Oh, that's right. Come to think of it, there were hints that he never told the truth to Kelly. Randy always wore shabby sweatshirts at home, but when he went out to meet Kelly, he would meticulously dress in a suit. During the day, he would pretend to be at work whenever Kelly called, perpetuating the illusion of his successful career. Kelly had bragged at her 60th birthday celebration about Randy being a kind son who took time off from work to attend. She had also boasted that with his status, he would find a more obedient and prettier wife than Catherine in no time. I am sure that such things will naturally come to light once we get divorced. But to Kelly, who saw her son as omniscient and brilliant, Randy would never dare to say anything that would shatter her illusions. Catherine doubted Kelly would ever suspect that her elite son had quit his job at the major company almost a year ago. Her elite son, her status symbol, was now, in truth, unemployed, a full-time house husband. Randy had quit his job after a major mistake that had resulted in a written apology, a demotion, and a pay cut. He had probably never told his mother about this humiliating incident. It seemed that Randy had been deeply affected by falling from grace, by losing his position on the smooth-sailing road of the elite. Kelly's pampering and spoiling had left him weak and sensitive. When he had to face the consequences of his mistake, he experienced panic attacks and nausea, unable to even leave the house, let alone go to work. At first, he had called in sick and used up his paid leave, but eventually, he had stopped calling altogether, racking up unauthorized absences until he was finally fired. Now it seemed he had no intention of finding another job, relying heavily on Catherine's income. Randy was still unable to tell Kelly the truth, knowing her reaction would be explosive. Catherine was slightly disappointed that she wouldn't get to witness Kelly's reaction when the truth inevitably came out. She will probably be shocked to the point of having a stroke. However, it's not my problem anymore. "This is just a cover to convince my mother, okay?" Randy said, handing her the divorce papers. Catherine submitted the papers immediately and signed a contract for a new apartment, moving out as soon as possible. A month later, she received a call from Kelly. She was surprised to hear from her ex-mother-in-law, wondering what she could want. "What do you want from me now?" she answered, her voice laced with sarcasm. "Aren't you glad that you got rid of me?" "Well, you're still the same. Just listen to me." Kelly launched into a familiar tirade. It was about Randy. Since Catherine's departure, Kelly had visited Randy's apartment several times to do household chores. But each time she found Randy lounging around in his room, with no sign of him going to work. He didn't seem sick, so she was baffled. "Do you have any idea what's going on?" she demanded. Catherine suppressed a laugh. I see," she replied nonchalantly. "Well, of course he's like that because Randy has no intention of working at all ever again." Kelly seemed to have conveniently forgotten that she had been the one to kick Catherine out. "Catherine, can you do something about it?" she pleaded. "Why should I?" "You didn't want me to be in your family and wanted nothing to do with me." Kelly's selfishness was astounding. After mistreating Catherine for so long, she dared to ask for help only when it suited her. "Well, I was wondering if you said something to him, to Randy, before you left," Kelly continued. Catherine wondered how much Kelly wanted to paint her as the villain. Does this person not think that there's a problem with her son and not me? I'm the one who was hurt, you know." "Oh, you only married Randy because you could live a luxurious life with him, right? So what is so hurtful about getting divorced?" Kelly's words dripped with judgment as if Catherine had married Randy solely for his money. She should quit sleep-talking. "Ha, you must be joking. I was the one who supported Randy financially during our marriage. I was the one who provided for you. To tell you the truth, I couldn't afford to live extravagantly because of Randy. I was fine with a divorce, but shall I file Randy for alimony?" Kelly was incredulous. "How dare you make up something like that, Catherine? You just forgot to ask for the alimony, didn't you? Randy has a higher income and position than you. Don't be so unreasonable. If you just want money, Randy can pay whatever you want. After all, Randy is a super elite working for the major company." Kelly's argument was delusional. Maybe Randy hasn't told Kelly the truth yet. If so, Catherine didn't want to be the one to break the news. It would feel like tattling. But it was a chance to see Kelly's reaction, a chance to get back at her for all the torment she had inflicted. "Your proud son is a full-time house husband. He quit his job a long time ago." Kelly's voice erupted in a furious shriek. "What? You are lying!" Catherine pulled the phone away from her ear, her anger rising. "Why don't you check with the company? Anyway, you'll know who is telling the truth." Kelly fell silent for a moment. Then, her voice now subdued and laced with fear returned. "Well then, what if... If that's true, how are we going to live? I can't take care of my son with just my pension. And no one will marry my son because he is unemployed. What are we going to do?" Her voice was a symphony of panic, and it was music to Catherine's ears. "What shall we do?" A slow grin spread across her face. Kelly went silent again, and then Catherine heard her babbling to someone beside her. "Hey, Catherine, will you please come home? Catherine was taken aback by the sudden plea. No, we're already divorced. I wouldn't come back to your family if heaven and earth turned upside down. Then she heard a commotion in the background, a man's voice shouting, I told you that I would come get you back when things cool down. It was Randy. Yes, you could remember. Marry my son again, you know. What are you talking about? No way. I wouldn't do it for the world. Don't joke about this, Catherine. Thank you, seriously. Okay. I made sure to remind her not to regret it the last time we talked on the phone. And I don't want to be involved with a son who loves his mother too much, or have any more toxic mother-in-law relationships ever again. I did what you told me to do, so could you please stop changing your mind so much? But there's a bit of a verbal jousting thing going on here. It's not like you take my words this seriously. You've been talking back to me with a nonchalant look on your face no matter what I said, haven't you? I didn't think you'd divorce my son, you know. It seemed Kelly hadn't expected such a firm refusal. Well, I was just putting up with it, Catherine retorted, her anger resurfacing. Besides, Randy packed up my stuff and kicked me out without any of my say in it. She lashed out, reminding Kelly of her cruel actions. You see, that was just a prank. Kelly tried to downplay the situation. Prank, huh? I think it's even worse than that. Catherine was disgusted by Kelly's attempts to trivialize her pain. She glanced at her watch, realizing it was almost 1 p.m. Her lunch break had been wasted on this futile conversation. Kelly, are you done now? What, Catherine? What did you say? Kelly's voice had taken on a saccharine tone, as if a sweet voice could erase her past behavior and elicit a favorable response. Catherine was not fooled. I'm going to hang up now. I have another meeting in a few minutes. I have to look over some documents. As she pulled the phone away from her ear, she could hear Kelly's frantic pleas. Wait, Catherine. Hey, Catherine, say something. Then she heard Kelly berating Randy. Randy, you didn't do it right, and this is what happened. In the end, Kelly probably blames others for everything that doesn't go her way. It makes me sick just listening to her. Catherine mercilessly pressed the end call button and blocked Kelly's number. Later that day, Randy contacted her, persistent in his pleas to get back together. Seeing an opportunity, Catherine asked her lawyer to pursue alimony. Randy's family, perhaps intimidated by legal action, immediately paid the alimony in a lump sum. It seemed the money had been advanced by Catherine's ex-in-laws. This, in turn, had caused friction between Randy and his parents, who were now constantly hounding him to find a job. I wonder where the former elites have gone. It seemed Randy had moved back into his parents' house, unable to afford the rent on his apartment. He blamed his parents for the divorce, and it seemed they were all living off their pension and retirement savings. Like parents, like children. They seemed to be blaming each other for each other's sins and refusing to reflect on their actions. Catherine had heard rumors that they were planning to apply for welfare. I hope that the government will make an effort to correct Randy's family's personalities while they still can, because it is impossible to be selfish with the government. As for Catherine, her proposal for the business trip had been accepted, and a new major contract had been signed. She had received yet another promotion, with a higher salary, and was living a fulfilling single life, free from the torment of her in-laws and financially independent. If I ever have the opportunity to get married again in the future, I would do a background check carefully, to avoid a husband who loves his mother or to avoid crazy in-laws. Let's conclude the story shortly. Catherine, free from the shackles of her toxic marriage, thrived. Her career soared to new heights, each success a testament to her resilience and hard work. The torment of Kelly and the suffocating dependence of Randy became distant memories, fading into the background of her fulfilling, independent life. She had learned a valuable lesson, a reminder to always prioritize her well-being and to never settle for a love that demanded the sacrifice of her dignity and self-respect. The world was full of possibilities, and Catherine, with a newfound clarity and strength, was ready to embrace them all. After experiencing the full journey of our story, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How did the story resonate with you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay blessed. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.